Both unions met this summer. They laid out their agenda very clearly, and it has absolutely nothing to do with education. It certainly does not address academic excellence or the issues that are really pressing right now in the U.S.
You're watching Restoring America, where we shine a light on the fundamental values of this country and all the reasons why they're worth saving. This week, we're going to talk about the single biggest threat to a quality education, the teachers' unions. I'm Kaylee McGee-White, and this is Restoring America. As students head back to school this month, many parents will be on the lookout for signs of wokeism in their kids' classrooms. This is perhaps the one benefit to the education culture war of the past few years. Parents are now aware of topics such as critical race theory and gender ideology, and they're ready to put up a fight if necessary. But do most families know how this ideology found its way into their kids' schools in the first place? Or, in other words, do they know who it is they're fighting against? The real culprit is the teachers' unions. These organizations, which represent a majority of teachers and administrators in the K-12 sector, have been relentlessly pushing leftist ideology in the public school system for years, and they have no intention of stopping, no matter how much parents might object. In fact, at their annual conferences this summer, the American Federation of Teachers and the National Education Association made it clear that they will throw their weight, which includes tens of millions of dollars, behind political candidates and organizations that support wokeism. Unsurprisingly, one of the candidates to receive such an endorsement was Vice President Kamala Harris. So, as parents go to bat for their children this school year, they should be on guard against the teacher union's influence. My guest today is going to explain exactly how to do that. But before we get to her, make sure to hit that like button, make sure to subscribe, and head to washingtonexaminer.com for more. With me today is Ginny Gentles, the director of the Education Freedom Center for the Independent Women's Forum. Ginny, thanks very much for being here to talk about this. Now, you've been keeping track of the teachers union agenda, which they rolled out this summer at their annual conferences. Tell us what we can expect from these agendas this year.
Well, there are two major teachers unions nationally in the U.S. There's the National Education Association, NEA, and then there's the American Federation of Teachers, AFT. Both unions met this summer. They laid out their agenda very clearly, and it has absolutely nothing to do with education. Certainly does not address academic excellence or the issues that are really pressing right now in the U.S., which are chronic absenteeism, which has doubled. We're talking 30% of students are chronically absent. Learning loss continues to be a problem. 8th graders are a year behind, according to recent data, a year behind. And then the pervasive discipline problems. These were not addressed during the summer conferences, but you know what was? Getting ready for the campaigns this fall. They are fired up. So the teachers union agenda is politics, getting out the vote, campaigning for union-endorsed candidates, and strikes. They voted to prepare for strikes, and that's what people should prepare for this coming year.
And this is so important for parents to keep track of, because oftentimes we see parents now pushing back against leftist ideology in their kids' classroom and against prolonged learning loss that the teachers unions were also responsible for. So how can parents and even teachers combat the influence of teachers unions in the public school classrooms?
Well, parents need to stay vigilant. I know it's tempting. We're kind of worn out after years of COVID closures and the fallout to just think, I'll drop my kids off, it'll be fine. It probably won't be fine unless parents stay really vigilant and stay really engaged. So parents should take the steps to get to know their teachers. They should demand, request nicely, and then demand, if denied, access to curriculum. They should expect transparency from their school districts. And they should monitor the policy decisions that are being made at their local school board. So vigilance is important on the part of parents. Teachers themselves need to recognize that their dues are funding political activism, that the unions spend millions, tens of millions of dollars every year in order to fund campaigns and support campaigns of their union-controlled candidates. And if teachers don't want their dues going to that, then they should leave the union. And there are plenty of organizations, alternative organizations, that can provide the benefits and the liability protection that they're currently getting from the union.
And one great long-term policy solution to both parents and teachers is school choice, the freedom for families to leave public schools and the teachers' unions if it's no longer working for them. So obviously we know the teachers' unions very much oppose school choice for that reason, but tell us what's on the school choice agenda for this year, especially coming off after a few years of a lot of school choice legislative success.
Well, this is where the good news is, right? The unions, definitely the bad news, the learning loss, the chronic absenteeism, the discipline, and the progressive ideology that we see in classrooms, the bad news. The good news is that we have dozens of states that have created or expanded school choice programs, education freedom options. We have 17 states with education savings accounts. I believe it's 12 states with universal school choice or moving towards that. So parents should look into those options, and if they feel that the residentially assigned public school isn't a good fit, then they should look for those options for their child through those state-funded education freedom programs. Some great developments that have happened in addition to the expansion and creation of programs are the creation of new options like micro schools. If that big, crowded, chaotic public school isn't for your kid, there are likely tiny, small, intimate, focused on academic environments like micro schools in your area. And so I would say school choice is producing and cultivating those options. Parents should look for those. We can look for some legislative victories coming up during upcoming legislative sessions. Things are posed to go well in Texas for passing expanded school choice, which means we'll have even more states with education freedom and education savings accounts. But back to the bad news, the teachers' unions. It is very clear that they want to pin all of the budget woes that school districts are facing right now on vouchers. Anytime that there's a teacher layoff or a school closure, they're going to blame vouchers for that, which is denying the reality that there just aren't as many students right now. There's a baby bust in the US. People stopped having as many kids in 2008, and the public schools are having to adjust their budgets accordingly. So again, stay vigilant. The teachers will want to blame school choice for the problems that they've created or the problems that school districts have denied for too long, but know that that education freedom is actually good news and provides great options for families.
Absolutely, and there's a big reason why parents are so vigilant about calling for it in their own states. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. This has been a great conversation. And for more breaking news, exclusive interviews, and conservative views, be sure to go to washingtonexaminer.com.